The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of ParaX, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
All these voices. All these voices. All these things you can't explain. All these painful memories. They keep haunting you and daunting me. It's just a ghost of you and me. It's just a smoke and gasoline. It's just a ghost of you and me. Of you and me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody tonight?
Tonight's show is going to be different than what we normally do. Last week, old boy went to the Para-Unity convention in Las Vegas, and he was out there for a couple days talking to all the different people that were there and interviewing and all that kind of stuff. So I figured what we'll do tonight is kind of get a behind the scenes look at what went on at the Para-Unity convention in Vegas, who was there, the people that old boy got to talk to, all that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw over to old boy, and I'm going to have him just tell you all about the convention and what he did and who he saw and who he talked to and all that. And then once he's finished, then I'll come back and maybe ask some questions or something like that. And we'll just kind of play it by ear. So, old boy, go ahead, brother.
Gracias and hola, everybody. So I went to Vegas this last weekend, and I went to the Para-Unity convention. It's a paranormal convention with all the people who do a lot of stuff throughout the country, the West and East Coast. A lot of equipment, ghost shop, stuff like that. You know that guy. If you're in the paranormal world, you know who Ghost Shop is. You buy a lot of paranormal stuff like REM pods, ghost boxes, spirit boxes, whatever you want to call them. You can buy all kinds of stuff. Temperature gauges. I think they got meters, all kinds of other stuff. They have that doll where like it talks like a kid. It's for you use. It's like a teddy bear, and you put down like we're supposed to be where kids have passed away, and it talks through it. There's all kinds of cool stuff. They were there. There was a whole bunch of people there. So we went to Vegas, me, my wife, and our friends, the Mac and Tires. We had a really good time. We met a lot of good people. So I'll tell you what happened. So if you guys ever go to Vegas, you know, Zach Baggins' museum's out there. He's famous for that. We never got to go. He was supposed to be there. Some people had canceled out because I guess there were some issues with MGM. That's where it was at in Las Vegas at the convention center. And the thing's huge. When you go there, there's all kinds of stuff. It's right next to the casino. The casino's huge. It's like everything around it's huge. Like they had this thing. I've never seen so many pools in my life. There must have been 20-something pools in this area. It was really cool, guys. If you ever go to Vegas, check it out. MGM Grand, sorry. And it was really cool convention. I met some people there, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. So before it, there was supposed to be a dinner, but it got canceled. It was cool. We saw some people at MGM Grand. They had like this little message thing. They wanted people to meet up there. So we went over there and met a couple of them from Destination Fear. Dakota was really cool, really nice guy. God, he was so nice. Not only he was so nice that our camera guy Kevin called his daughter and wife because they really like that Destination Fear guys, and they went on there and took a FaceTime, and he actually took his time to talk to her while she was driving, while he was at this inside the casino, just got off the plane. He was so nice. He actually walked, because my friend's daughter was 19, she couldn't go up to the bar area. He came down and talked to her for like 20 minutes. Such a nice guy. Destination Fear, check them out, guys. Really cool people. And they even knew who we were after that. We talked to him a couple times. Jason from Ghost Hunters was there also. I met him, talked to him for a couple seconds. He was doing his own thing. They were, they're very popular. So, but he was very nice too. Really cool guy. Met him, and that was it from there. But I had a really good experience with them, and I will tell you this: I really enjoyed those guys. Really nice guys. We took pictures of them, and they were really nice to my wife. Checked them out. I also met another awesome person, this Heather Taddy from Paranormal State, Portals from Hell. I think it's Alien Highway. And she was very awesome. I think she's from Pittsburgh, but she comes out here a lot. And she got along with my wife because my wife's from Orange County, and she's like a big fan of Gwen Stefani. So is she. And she had this purchase at Gwen Stefani in Orange County. So we started talking. She was really cool. And the cool thing is, and I have a surprise for you guys. I've written her on email. I'm trying to get her on the show. She said she would do it when she had some time, but we're trying to get her on. Very nice girl, very sweet, very awesome. I even wrote her on Instagram. She wrote me back. She was very genuine. Check her out. Very nice girl, very awesome. One of the nicest girls I've ever met. In any celebrities, ghost things, anything. Such an awesome person. And some people are charging for pictures. I guess they didn't want to, but there are people who sponsor them are making you do that. And then there's some people just want money. She took a picture with us for free. It didn't even care. She autographed my wife's thing for free. She was very awesome. My wife bought she had like these little coaster things, and it was Frankenstein. She had all kinds of cool little pictures, but she bought the Frankenstein one. She signed it. She was very cool. One of the nicest people I met there. Now, I will tell you about one person. I'm not going to say their name, but they are a model who is very known in the goth community and the vampiric community and stuff like that I thought was going to be really, really cool, ended up not being. I won't say nothing in detail. I don't like to badmouth people, but we'll just say this. She didn't seem like she wanted to be there. Maybe she was having a bad day. I hate saying anything about anybody, but some people, it wasn't just her. There's other people who just didn't want to be there. Now, one thing I was disappointed is Kane Holder wasn't there. He's actually doing stuff with Ghost Hunters in Hollywood. And he wasn't there. He's the guy from Friday the 13th, guys. He's the one that plays Jason, one of them. He was in the Hatchet movies. Very cool dude. I wanted to meet him. He's one of my favorite guys up here in the movie industry. I heard he's a really nice guy. I've known people who've met him. Up here in California, in Crestline, I think there's there's a little brewery. Well, the brewery's owned by the guy from, what was his name? I don't remember his name from the Wishmaster movies. The guy who played the Wishmaster, he was in Lost. He owns a little brewery in California up here at Crestline. And he was in that movie too, Kane Holder, so you guys know, but I guess they're friends. But the guy who played the Wishmaster, and he has this group called the 333 group. And you could buy so many, you give them $333 and you become this part of this club forever. You can drink there forever. And you get so many, like a free beer every week or something like that. I don't know. My friend's a part of it. He paid the $333. I think it's Andrew Delvoff. I can't say his name. I'm probably killing it, dude. I guess he's a really cool guy. I want to go up there and talk to him because I want to get him on the show eventually. And he knows about our show because my friend tells him when he goes up there, because my friend's friend talks to him all the time. He goes there like every week. He's a part of the club. He paid the $333. I guess Norm's in it from Cheers. Kane Holder. I think that's how you say him, Kane Holder, and so is Andrew. I was thinking about doing it. I'm still thinking about joining it. But I don't live in Crestline. It's like an hour away. I hardly go up there. So I just don't want to, waste the money. It's not really wasting the money, but I'm never going to use it, But it's a cool idea. I'm thinking about it still. It doesn't matter. It's still cool. Hey, I can go up there and see that guy all the time. So that's cool. But he wasn't there. And like I said, Ghost Adventures wasn't there. I don't know if Zach was going to, I know the museum was going to be there. I don't know if he was going to be there, but I know they canceled out. So that wasn't there. And I wanted to go see there, but it's right now it's going for like $60 a pop. No. WSAP, I think that's what their name was. Wasp. That's how you say it. They're from Utah. Really cool guy. Investigation group, and I think they're outside of Utah. They were really cool. I went and watched his presentation the next day because I went for 2 days on Friday and Saturday. They were really cool. I showed him some evidence we had from Tales from the Abyss, the other part of our group. And he really liked it. Never seen anything because we got pictures of the hat, man. We have pictures of a lot of stuff, guys. And they had Wraith Chasers. That's funny because there's a group called Wraith Chasers now. And the funny thing is, we've been messing around with wraiths in that Victorville graves for a long time over there. And now people are calling themselves wraith hunters when we've been dealing with one for a while. Yeah, it's WASP, sorry. And Western Association with Science and Paranormal is their name. And I think they're in Utah. Really cool people. Chris Herman was, I think it's Harmon. That's his name. Chris Harmon. He was a really cool guy, really nice, and his family was nice. They had a bunch of people there from his paranormal group, and they also had, I think next to him they had their own booth. They were like psychic lady. I forget what her name was, but I didn't talk to her much. Talked to her a little bit, but Kevin and his wife and his daughter all got a reading, and they were all together in 2 different booths, and they were really cool. You guys can check him out. Really cool guy, really down to earth, really cared. I'm so glad they gave us the opportunity to talk to him, and I got to meet him. There's another guy, forget his name. Actually, I have a bunch of cards, so let me see if I have that card on hand, so I'll tell you who it was. Greg Burkham. He was really cool. He was with a host of Ghost Box Radio. I think it's in Minnesota. He was really cool. He had a lot of good equipment out there. I guess he collects ghost equipment and ghost boxes and stuff like that. He had a lot of cool stuff. You guys can check him out at I think it's Greg at ghostboxradio.com. Really cool guy. Really down to earth. Another guy. And here's that Western, it's wasparanormal.org. Check them out. Really cool people. Really got along with them. I got some other cards I'm going to throw out here. I don't mean to throw it there. There was a lot of cool people there. There's another group of ladies I met. They're in Virginia. They say they've met James and they know Andy, his friend out there in Virginia. And they were really cool. I forget what their name, but I think the 3 ladies of Paranormal, they were really cool. Sandy Henson is her name. Really cool lady in Virginia. Check her out too. They were just the coolest people I've seen there. So I just wanted to let you guys know. And they were really cool with my wife. And it was really cool to meet a bunch of ladies because you don't see a lot of that in our industry. There is some, but they're not just by themselves. And it was really cool to meet them. And Ghost Brothers were really cool. I met them, really cool guys, funny. My wife did a TikTok video for them because they were selling what is it called? Pancake mix for like $10. I got with some lady and they made a recipe and it was really good. It was like pumpkin spice flavored. Really good. And she did a video and it's on there. So check it out. We'll put it out there, but we all did a video throwing a commercial. It wasn't a commercial, but telling her what we thought about the pancakes. And they were really cool. Ghost Brothers are really cool guys. Met them. Awesome. I talked to them. Really down to earth. Another one. Josh Gates was there. I met him. He was cool. He was really busy. He was out the door. You guys know who Josh Gates is. Very famous through the community. He was cool. Met him. Other than that, I was going around promoting the show, because I'm trying to get Staring blown up even bigger than it is. That's all I care about. So I was doing a lot of promoting and passing out cards and talking to people. And it's interesting to find out how other people do it. And then to find out that some of the stuff I do, they don't even mess with. And James does. And that's crazy to me because knowing that, I kind of question our thinking sometimes, but you know what? I wouldn't change who I am or James is or how we do our show. because that's how you do it. That's what you're supposed to do. And you have to do different than most people, because most people have the same, nothing against all these ghost hunters and stuff like that, but it's pretty much the same, like always. And we're trying to do something different. We only want to do the most extreme stuff that most people don't want to touch. And a lot of people don't know how to deal with that. And they get scared because everything is about demons. Not everything is. Not everything's a demon. Sometimes it could be a lost spirit. Sometimes it's something, a tragedy that happens, a fingerprint, shadow people. It could be a lot of things. Everybody just assumes it's demons. We were talking about that during that presentation. That's what everybody thinks right after. Another guy I met, Jerome Leonard, that I guess James knows him, and Andy's worked with him in his ministry, and he was a demonologist. He was cool. And I guess he's done some shows on TV, and he's going to be doing something soon. He was talking about it. He was a really cool guy. Met him for a little bit, introduced him. He knew them more than he knew me. I just told him, they told me to tell him hi, so I did. And he talked to me for a little bit, but remember, dude, it's hard to talk to somebody when they're in a different belief. So I gave him his respect. He gave me his. We left it at that. I talked to him for a couple minutes. And other than that, I just did our thing. I promoted the show, talked to people, and just getting our name out there, guys. And it was a cool time. I had a good time with these people, and I had a good time with my wife and our friends. It was a good time, and I wish I could been there longer. I didn't know how long it was. It was kind of thrown in at one time, so I wish I would have had a little bit more time there in Vegas to enjoy for myself, because I don't take a lot of vacations, guys, hardly at all. Neither does James. But my wife really needs it. A lot of people don't realize my wife works a lot, man. She drives 80, 90 miles one way and back, and works at she's a dental assistant. My wife is very smart. I'm an armed guard at a bank, and I do the show. So, and she's a massage therapist. She also was in culinary school for 2 years, went to college. She's so smart. I was telling James earlier, on YouTube, she learned how to do her own nails. She has all the equipment and everything. What's crazy about me is I used to be a dialysis technician. I went to school for it, did it for years. Didn't like it, did something else. So that's what I did. That's something I don't usually talk about. I kind of disappointed I quit, because I probably should have stayed in that kind of field, because I'm not making millions of dollars, guys. Security make decent money, especially being armed, but I'm not making lots of money, but I live decent, like in California, as decent as you can be. It's expensive to live here. So we went to the convention, and then after the convention, here's where the paranormal stuff comes. When we went to I was at the Wind Resort. It's a condo. We have a condominium, and we timeshare. And my parents never use it, so I use it. So I went there. Really 5-star, really nice place. They're saying the towers are haunted there, because right next to it is an old hotel where Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack used to be there, and people died there, and the mafia did stuff there. It was right next door, and they still haven't knocked it down. It was really weird. So I looked at it, and I had bad feelings, because I could see it, because they took us up to show us everything around. You could go, because they were trying to sell me more time, and I'm like, I don't need it. I already have enough. So that, they still did it. So I did it. It's because you got I got a gift card or something. So I did it. They took me up to the VIP room. That room was awesome. I could get it anyway, but has you go in, there's a fireplace, a big kitchen, 4 or 5 bedrooms, but I could see that building he was talking about. It was really cool. But I could feel, right when I looked at it, I could feel there's bad energy there, guys. And this might be why there's bad energy, because I don't know where this place is built by. But for the 4 nights we're there, I had weird dreams. My wife did. People heard things. My camera guy, his phone wouldn't charge on the charger. but he would charge it in the day. It would work. It wouldn't work at night. It was really weird. They would, and my wife said a little kid or a girl visited her at night because my wife wanders when she sleeps. So, and that's not wandering around because sleepwalking, she wanders through her dreams. So she said something was touching her all the time. I heard things running around because when you go in there, there was a spa, big old spa jacuzzi tub, and then it was really nice. But we could hear them running on the. I wouldn't say it's on the tile. They had the tile there, and you could hear them running back and forth. I could hear banging. I heard noises outside. It was real weird. So did they. They said that the night I left a night early, so my friend's daughter stayed in that room, and she said she heard the same thing. And things were moving around. They said a red light was going up in the room, in the other room, and I think the room was haunted. I think some stuff has been going on all over because I could hear in the next room over there was stuff going on. There was no one there. I could hear somebody running down the hall. There was no one there. I heard it was just really weird. I had a weird experience there when I got there. I felt like weird, and we would shut off all the lights. And we have the blinds, so it just felt like somebody's watching me when I was sleeping. That's one thing I got a really creepy vibe from it. And no one had told me anything. I just had felt that somebody watched me, but it doesn't bother me because stuff watches me all the time. My life is being watched. So, you follow the show. You know about me, guys. You know how I don't ever start off the show. James let me do it once in a while. But this one, because I've been planning this for 9 months, and this was like one of the biggest conventions in the half of this side of the country because a lot of stuff's getting canceled now. I got to go, and it was a great experience because I got to spend time with my wife and my friends and meet people. But in fact, I wanted to spend time with my wife, and I enjoyed it. And it's always good to spend time with the person you love the most. We had some fun, walked around, had some food. I ate a little better than I usually do, guys. I don't want to get sick again because, a couple years ago I was sick with diabetes. I got over it. And I just, with the stupid pandemic has really changed everything. It's hard to stay put because you can't really do a lot like you used to. You can't just go to the gym all the time. Sometimes it's closed down. The faster it gets over, the better. We'll just put it that way. I don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon. They're saying 5 years, maybe 10. But whatever. If you guys get a chance to go to any of these conventions, do it. If you're into the paranormal like me and James are, do it. It isn't just paranormal investigators there. They have people who sell products. There's a lot of jewelry. There's a lot of pagan and Wiccans. There's a lot of Christians there. There's demonology there. There's a lot of people who sell cameras. Ghost shop, you know who they are. Spiritual realm. There's a lot of mediums there. I met them. They were really cool. The girl was from I forgot about her from El Paso. She was really cool, and she did tarot readings. But we were talking to her. She was really down to earth, really nice girl. I met another guy named Josh Baboza, I think his name was. He was from El Paso. He does a paranormal radio show. Really cool on YouTube. And I talked to him for a little bit too. He was a really cool guy. Check him out. I forgot to grab his card though, but I remember his name. He was a real cool guy. We were talking, and he talked to my wife, and my wife knows Spanish. She talked. Another cool thing is, and we have it. My wife can talk in 3 languages: English, Spanish, and French. And she understands German because she was originally from another country, from El Salvador. So she talked back and forth. It was trippy to hear him because I understand what they're saying. I just can't speak it well. But, and then when my wife gets really mad at me sometimes, or anybody, she'll say stuff in Spanish. It's kind of funny because I piss her off probably the most. But, and it's very hard to be with somebody like me, I'm surprised she does, but just like James, we're just too different. We're set in our ways, and that's how we are. We're just set in our ways. We're not bad people. I know we come off as we're somewhat like that, but we're not. It's just very strong-willed person. We've gone through a lot in our life. You have to be like. That's why I do what I do. That's why I can handle dealing with ghosts and demons and all these creatures, because they don't scare me. I really don't scare. that well. You know, I've had guns pulled on me, shot at. I've been attacked, jumped, surgeries. I've stayed in the hospital I almost died couple times. It doesn't scare me. The only scared is my wife was going to be alone. That's the only thing that scares me. There's stuff that scares, like my kids and stuff like that. That scares me. Something happened to him or something. But I've always been, I don't care how I am. But, people get mad about that, but that's just how I am. I'm a different kind of breed. There's not a lot of people like me. You have to be a certain person to like me. You either like me or don't. Just like Hershey, you either like him or you don't. There is no in the middle. You can associate or you're not. That's how it is. And that's why people, how do you do it with being such two different religions? That's what they were asking me there, because they were telling me, and I was talking to people about my other book, and I said it just works. I've never had a problem with Hershey at all. I don't understand why people can't have difference of opinions and get along. If you let something get you really bad, unless if it's super offensive, I mean, people have said so much stuff to me since I was a kid. It doesn't bother me. Maybe that's what it is, like this culture, and it's not saying nothing bad. I get it, because there's a lot of people who are bullied and stuff like that, and they don't know how to deal with it. And it's very hard when you're bullied and picked on. And trust me, I was. So, but I never got to the point where I was gonna blame anybody else. It's I had to deal with my own self. But some people are different, and that's what I had to learn. It. Not everybody's the same as me. Not everybody can deal with the same stuff. We're all different. And a lot of stuff that I deal with, a lot of people couldn't. And a lot of stuff that people deal with, I couldn't deal with. It's just how it is. But that's why I deal with the stuff I deal with. I can go into a graveyard by myself and I'm fine. It's not recommended for anybody to really do that. I wouldn't do it if you're not like me or James, or few people who can do it without getting something attached to them or messing with them. Probably for the rest of my life, I'll always have stuff messing with me. And I've had it since I was a kid. James is the same thing. When you're into this lifestyle, hunting ghosts and stuff like that, you have to realize there's always a risk. And there's stuff in the windworks, guys. They have been talking to us for a while about doing stuff, certain people with James. And they know about us out here. And one day and I'm not going to say this because I know it for a fact, one day you might see us on TV. And if you do, good. If we don't, oh well. But I have a feeling that's going to happen. And you're going to see, we already know we're going to be on a higher podcast. That's coming down the line. That's other things we can talk about. But just remember, when you see us, I'm not going to do anything where I'm going to be dishonest. Neither is James. We're not dishonest people. I'm not going to fake any evidence. You guys all know, if you do paranormal, it takes hours to find maybe an hour of good footage, 30 minutes. It's not like you see on TV, like everything's going on. You got to realize they edit everything. Hours and hours of footage to find a little bit of stuff. It's not fun. It's like fishing. You know how fun fishing is? Hours till you get a bite. And then when you get a bite, then it was worth the wait. That's what it is. The people who wait, like you're throwing a line for fishing, people just want things done when, you can, it's like you can win $20 million and then lose it in 10 days. I'm just showing you an example. This is what happens to certain people. That's what happens to fame. They'll get fame right away. Have you ever noticed like how many one-hit wonders there is? Or people who make one movie and never hear about them again. They never really do. Or they get stuck with a character. And then there's some people who get stuck with a character, but then they branch off to something else. Like Harrison Ford, Han Solo, till he became Indiana Jones, to Patriot Games. He changed. He adapted from his character. Some people can do that. Some people can't. There's some people who just get stuck, like Screech, can never really get over the whole Saved by the Bell. I know he passed away. There's just some people who get stuck. I was showing him an example that get like Ed O'Neill. It's now he's starting to come out of the Married with Children thing, but it took him forever. He finally got another show, and but everybody remembers him from Al Bundy. It was very hard. It took him 20-something years to get over that personality, because he was such that's what everybody remembers him. Now everybody knows him from that other show. I forget what it's called. I watch it once in a while, but he's known from that show now. But people don't realize that's Al Bundy. To me, it's Al Bundy, and it's hard to get rid of that once you become one person. So you never really get over that. So like with James, when we go to do we do the show. But he goes along and he listens to us over FaceTime, or he knows what's going on. It's not like I just tell him what happened. He's pretty much there, over there, and sees what's going on. He's just not physically there. So when I go to Vegas, I promote our show. He promotes our show in Virginia, in Pennsylvania, wherever they go out there. There's people who knew us. It was weird. And that's always crazy to me because I'm still like a fan. Like I was James Hershey's friend on Facebook, and he was on my horror group, but I was his fan because he wrote a book. Now he wrote 4 now, but at the time it was only the 1. So it's like an honor to do the show with him. I think a lot of people take that for granted. James was already a known person because of his books. And now he's known for the paranormal world as a radio talk show host and paranormal investigator. And he was also in a music band years ago that was somewhat semi-famous out there in the South and the East Coast. So he knows how to deal with a lot of fame, because a lot of people don't know how to deal with it. Because I'm going to be honest, there's a couple people, I don't want to say names, but they weren't the coolest people there. They were there to get, to get your money for an autograph, and then they didn't want to talk to you. I'll tell you, for instance, we went to talk to somebody we had paid $40. I didn't. Paid $40 to get an autograph. He didn't want to. I have to go do some hair dip, and took off. So I'm like, cool. So now I know one day when I see that person, I'll say, no, I'm not going to be like that. Yeah, here you go, bro. I'm not going to be like some people are, but I'm going to be honestly, 80 to 90% of the people are all cool there. Nothing bad to say about them. I don't care if somebody hears this or not. There's a couple people, but you know what? Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe things are not going well in their life. And that's why I said, you never know. You never know what people are going through in their life. They probably have thousands of people always just think that we owe them to talk to them just because they're on TV, and we pay for them to be on TV, and we buy their merchandise. But remember, everybody has a family. You don't like to be bothered with your family sometimes, and I get it. And then there's some people who just don't like people, and they just do what they want and just do it for money. But I don't know if anybody there was like that. Maybe they just had a bad day. And that's all I'm going to say on that. 90% of the people were cool there. Vegas, other than that, busy, crowded, because the Raiders are there now. They have that hockey team, the Golden Knights. They had the UFC fight. The rodeo was in the town. It was really busy. Vegas is building up really fast. I don't know if you've been there for a long time, but it's getting big. And getting in there was fine, but driving around is very bad. It's like being in LA. People driving in front of you, barely not letting you move in to go to another lane. It's just, you guys, if you live in California or Las Vegas, you know what I'm talking about. It's a mess. James hates big cities like this. I don't know how he'll manage. If he ever comes here, you better just get an Uber or somebody to drive for him, because he'll probably end up flipping out and doing something to somebody, and I don't want that, because there's a lot of jerks and idiots that drive, and we all know that. Especially in California. It's a joke. People are crazy. They do crazy stuff, cut you off, scream and cuss you out. So is Vegas, same thing. Cool time, though. If you guys ever get a chance to go to Las Vegas, try to get into one of those places I said, the Wind, or buy a timeshare. They have a lot of stuff going on in Vegas right now. So that being said, there you go, James. I'll throw it over to you so you can talk now, brother.
I will give you a little bit of insight into what it's like to do the signings and the photographs and all that kind of stuff. I've done a lot of different book signings. I've given a lot of speeches. I've been to events like this where I was a guest there and gave a speech and did the signings and the photographs and all that stuff. At a small event, you're talking several hundred people by the time you're done that you have shaken hands with and signed autographs for and taken pictures with and listen to them tell their stories to you and the whole nine. At a large event, you might be talking thousands of people. And for some people, that tends to get old and it kind of bothers them. And they get tired of hearing the same stuff over and over and over again from people. They get tired of sitting there and pretending that they're interested and smiling and taking the pictures and all that. So I can see how some of the bigger names, if they do this a lot, I can see where they might have a chip on their shoulder a little bit because of it. Now, I'm not saying that's right, because I don't think you ought to. I have never in my life charged for an autograph or a photograph, and I have never refused to sign or take a picture with anybody who wants one. And part of that is because it's an honor for me that those people want to talk to me and that they want to take a picture with me and want my autograph. That's still to this day blows my mind. But also I had a very good role model for how to handle fame and celebrity. Even the small amount that I have for the books and the stuff that I've done. When I was younger, we lived all over the world because we were military. So we went all over the place. And I lived in Illinois during the time when Michael Jordan was playing basketball with the Chicago Bulls. And I went up to Chicago several times to catch Bulls games because I was a huge Michael Jordan fan. I think he's probably the most talented man to ever play the game. I mean, he's amazing. And a hell of a nice guy. Now, one thing I'll tell you about Michael Jordan that's even greater than his abilities on the court. After every game, there would be a big crowd of people that would wait over by the entrance where the players come and go from, where they leave. And they would all hang out there hoping to get autographs. And most of the basketball players would kind of walk through, and some would not sign anything. Some would just ignore you completely like you were nothing and just walk right past you. Some would sign one or two things as they're walking. Michael would come out, and he always came out after most of the people had already left. Not most of the fans, but most of the other players had went through. And Michael would come out, and I don't know if he did this every single time, but I went to at least 3 games where I got to see him after the game, and he did it every game that I was there for. He would come out and he would stop. He wouldn't walk through. He wouldn't like push his way through and try to get out of there. He would actually just stop. And he would talk to every single person that wanted to talk to him. He would shake every hand. He would take a picture with anybody who wanted it. And he would sign autographs for you for anybody who wanted it. And he would not leave until everybody that wanted a photograph got one. Everybody who wanted an autograph got one. I've never seen anything like it. Now, the level of fame and celebrity that man possessed was unlike anything that we'll ever know. He would sit and talk to thousands of people and take pictures and sign autographs. And he was always kind and loving and respectful and just a wonderful person. I never saw him in the times that I was there. I never saw him ever roll his eyes. I never saw him ever sigh. And you can tell when people don't want to be there. When they're just being nice and they're like, I just wish you'd shut up so I could go. He was never like that. He always seemed genuinely interested in what the people were saying. He was always a very kind and loving person. And like I said, he always stayed and signed and took pictures and everything for everybody. And to me, that left a mark on me. That set an example that I knew that if I was ever in a position like that, that's the way I wanted to be. And so that's why I have never charged for an autograph. I've never charged to take a picture with anybody. I will gladly do that. If you ever see me in public, which good luck, because I live out in the mountains of Virginia and I don't go to cities. So if you do happen to ever see me in public and you want an autograph or a picture, I'm happy to do so. And there are times when, it gets a little sketchy. I've been out to eat with my family before and had people come up and interrupt my meal to get a photograph or an autograph or something like that. And, sometimes they get a little pushy and I'm a man, right? You can only push me so far before I'm going to say, look, dude, you know what I mean? But luckily I've never had a situation that's gotten out of hand, but I can definitely see how some people, if they don't have the right mindset and they're having a bad day anyway, how it can be a little bit ugly, so to speak. Now, I personally think that the example set by Michael Jordan is the way to go. I think that you should be grateful for the fans that you have. You should be honored that those people would want to spend time with you and come out to see you. And you should treat them with love and respect. That's just the way I am. But I think maybe that might give some insight into it. Now, one thing I wanted to ask Old Boy was, I had heard that it was like $1,000 or something like that for a table there, if you wanted to set up and be one of the people. And I also heard that they were charging like $4,500 for electricity hookup. And I'm thinking maybe that might be the reason why some of these bigger names just said to hell with this and bailed and canceled on it. Because, imagine you're paying $1,000 for the table in the first place. That's a lot of damn money to pay just to set up and sit there and talk to people. And then imagine you do that, and then they tell you when you get there or when you're getting ready to go, they say, oh yeah, by the way, if you want to use electricity, you have to pay us another $4,500. I would probably tell them to get bent. You know what I mean? I don't need to be there that bad to pay that kind of money just to plug something in. That's ridiculous. So I wanted to ask Old Boy, is that the case? And if it is the case, do you think that had anything to do with some of the cancellations?
It had everything to do with that. I got told by numerous people they all didn't care for MGM the way they were really weird, really pushy about their rules and stuff. Electricity went from like 180 a day to 4,000. So I'm taking it that's probably why Baggins, took the museum away. I don't know for a fact, but if it's 80 to 14500 or 4,000, that's what a couple people had told me. That's probably why, because that's going to take a lot of energy to run, because that thing's huge. So they were probably charging him probably triple for that, because I think if you got to do a presentation, you had to pay on top of the $1,000, because I think it was like $1,000 or $1,200 for the 2 days to have a table or something like that. I don't know the exact. That's what I got told. I don't know if that's fact, because I wanted to open a table myself, but it didn't happen. I was going to talk to Parax Radio because our friend Jerry, who does the show on Parax Radio, and he's been on our show, said he was going to go out there, and one of his people were out there. He didn't tell me. He didn't know I was out there. He would have told me, but he was thinking about doing a table there. And I think he told me that's what it was, but the electricity was told by a couple of the people there. It was outrageous. Like, to have like certain amount of plugs to having more. If you wanted like a big presentation, you had to spend a lot more money. Like, you wanted to use their convention rooms, because they have a bunch of convention rooms. I think you got charged for so much, how long you were in there and how much you're going to use. And some people was like $4,000. So I bet you that's why, because if it's $4,000 a day, you're paying $8,000 or $9,000 for 2 days. That's crazy. That's crazy. And I wouldn't do it. So I would have been James, the same thing. I would have paid for the booth. I guess if you wanted to pay electricity, like just the bare minimum was $180 a day. So if you wanted to use a bunch of stuff and show a bunch of stuff, it was going to cost you a lot of money. So that's like having different TVs, using their monitor. It probably would have cost $1,000 easily for me and James for the stuff we had. So I understand why some people walked away from it, or some people just didn't show up. I know the Bigfoot show. I think it's Bigfoot Exposure. I think it was Sasquatch Exposure. I forget which one it was. They were going to be there. They had their booth up, and it had one guy. I think they're like people who are representing them, but they got called right before the convention to go shoot new episodes for the show. So that was cool. I mean, I'm going to do that over going to a convention. You can go hundreds of them. So they went and shot episodes. I understood what happened to them. I think there was a lot of stuff going with COVID too. Some people just didn't want to catch it. There's going to be a lot of people there. The convention was pretty big, dude. There's probably like 5 or 6 rows worth of people. And then there's stuff on the sides too. So I would say the first row was probably a good 20 people. 20 to 25 vendors on that side. And then they had two ones on the side. So that was about 5 or 6 on that side. Then the next line was probably about 25, 30. The other one was about 25, 30. The other line was about 25, 30. And then the other part and the back was about 20. So I'd say there was probably about 3 to 4, maybe about 3 or 400 vendors there around that. 300, I would say. It was a pretty, the first day, the whole day, I probably saw about 3,000 or 4,000 people come through. And then the second time just there, I seen like 3,000 or 4,000 coming in, and we left at 12 o'clock, and it still went on for 5 or 6 hours. So through the whole time, I probably saw probably 4,000 or 5,000 people altogether. So it was pretty big. It was a pretty big convention. So it wasn't small. Like you had like maybe 100 tables. It was like 200 or 300 people there. Not vendors there. It was pretty big. They had some big names there, guys, like Destination Fear. If they would have had Baggins thing, they probably would have had to take that. That was why that back row was not there. I think that was going to be the whole back row, or I think they were going to take their own thing, and it was pretty big. It was a pretty big place they took up. So that MGM Grand's huge. They have rooms all over that place. So I don't even think that was the biggest convention center. I think they had even one bigger than that. So it was really cool, but yeah, it was expensive, guys. You know, I think it was for the 2 tickets was $150 a person. So we spent, all together, he spent about $1,000, and the dinner was going to be $500. And we didn't spend $500 to go to dinner with anybody. It is what it is. I'm not going to spend $500 because we went out to the MGM and met them anyway for free. So, so it was, that was the cool thing. We didn't have to spend the $500 to go meet all these people at the casino. So there you go, James. That's your answer for you.
Yeah, a lot of these conventions are kind of weird like that. You would think that since they're having a convention and they need the talent there, that they would pay you to show up, or at the very least they would like comp your hotel room and buy you a ticket to fly out or whatever. But for a lot of these things, man, you're out of your own pocket to go. You're paying for your own flight, you're paying for your own room, and at a lot of them you have to pay for a table and all that kind of stuff. And that's why I really don't do a whole lot of conventions, because like the way I look at it, if you want me to come somewhere and give a speech and do a whole thing, right? Either you're going to pay me to do it, or at the very least you're going to fly me there if you want me to do it for free. Think about that. How many of you would go into work and do your job for free? That's what they're asking these people to do. And then on top of that, how many of you would pay money to go talk about doing your job? Let's say you work for, let's use Old Boy for an example. He works for a bank, and he's an armed guard. So let's say that the bank wanted to have a convention where they talked about the jobs they did in the bank, and they wanted Old Boy to go to the convention, set up a table, and talk about being an armed guard. And then they said, okay, we're not going to pay for your hotel room. You got to pay for your own hotel room. And we're not going to fly you there. You got to buy your own ticket to fly there. And we're not going to pay you to actually talk about anything. What we want you to do is pay us $1,000 to come there and be in our convention and talk and give a speech and do the whole nine. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then that gives you a little bit more insight into why some of these people charge money for autographs and charge money for photographs and stuff. Because hell, if you're, a grand in for the table a day, and then you're, a couple grand in electricity, that's a lot of money you got to make up. And then you got a ticket that you had to buy to get there, a flight, you have your hotel room, you have your food while you're there. I mean, when it's all said and done, you might be 5 to 10 grand in the hole just to go and work a convention. And that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Why should I spend money to go and be talent at a convention to make them money? That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, what's in it for me to do it? I mean, yes, it's nice to go and do signings for the fans and all that kind of stuff. That's great. I love that. I'm 100% in. But are you going to pay that kind of money to go do it? That doesn't make any sense. It would be different if they said, look, we're having this convention and we'd like you to come and give a speech and everything. We can't pay you because we don't have any money, but you can come here and set up for free. We're not going to charge you for electricity. We're not going to charge you for a table. And, we'll provide you with a hotel room or whatever. Something like that I can understand, and I'd be more willing to do it because, yes, I got to go there and do it for free, but that's fine. But at least I'm not out of my pocket for all of my cost. I don't have to pay for a flight there. I don't have to pay for a hotel room. I don't have to pay for all those things. And I definitely am not paying for a table and all that. So to me, if you want talent to come to your conventions and to put on a show for you, then you shouldn't be charging them to do so. That makes no sense, because what you're going to end up with in those situations, you're not going to end up with top tier talent. You're going to end up with, they're willing to pay the money to go there and get the exposure. So they're not people that are at the top tier that are going to be the people that normal fans want to pay money to go see, if that makes sense. You'll have a few of those, but you're going to have a lot of filler in your conventions when you're charging a lot of money. That's the way I look at it. And I don't mean that to be, an ungrateful thing or whatever. I'm just saying it makes no sense. And I'm sure that if all of you applied that to your own life, like I did with the example with Old Boy, there's no way in hell that you're paying $5,000 to go and give a speech about what you do for a living or something like that. It doesn't make any sense to come out of your own pocket like that. And I imagine that's why a lot of these people probably cancel, because they're like, screw this. I'm not paying this kind of money. It's bad enough they're not going to pay me to do the gig, but I mean, hell, I got to pay. Old Boy said I was in a band. I played a lot of music in my life. I've been a performer my whole life. And you get paid to go and perform. That's the way it works. If I get a gig and I'm going to go do a show, I'm going to get paid because I have a road crew. I have roadies that have to load up the equipment and set everything up. I got to pay my light guy. I got to pay the sound guy. I got to pay the doorman. I got to pay everybody. And it doesn't make any sense for me to do it for nothing. Now I understand the convention's a totally different thing than a gig playing with a band, but it's the same mindset as far as I'm concerned. You're a performer. You're going there to do a job. You should be compensated for that job. That's all I'm saying. But the people that do conventions don't feel that way usually, so that's why I don't do a whole lot of conventions, honestly. We're about out of time, so I'm going to throw it back over to Old Boy. Before I do, though, I do want to mention that I will be actually doing a convention. I know I just said all that stuff, but I will be doing one for free coming up. I think it's in March is when they're planning it at St. Albans here on the East Coast. Their roof is caving in and they need a new roof, or the place is going to be condemned probably. And I just don't want to see that happen. So I'm going to volunteer my time to go there and give a speech and do the whole nine and try to help them raise money to replace the roof on the place so it doesn't collapse. So I'll be giving you more information on that when we get closer to the date, when I have all the particulars. Right now it's still in the planning stages, but I most likely will be doing a presentation at that event. So I'm going to throw it back over to Old Boy so he can wrap up really quickly and we can get out of here.
Thank you, brother. I want to thank everybody from Parax Radio that listens to us on Sunday nights and Tuesday nights for the Best of show. I want to thank everybody that follows the YouTube page on James Hershey's YouTube page. Subscribe so you can listen to all the old shows, the new shows, and the paranormal news on top of that, and the old Tales from the Abyss and investigation shows. If you want merchandise, they'll tell you where to go. Shirts, COVID masks, all that cool stuff. I want to give a shout out to Christina Criselli from Beyond the Gravestone magazine. You guys can check her out there, or you can check her out on her Facebook page, Haunted Salem. She's got a lot of cool things going on, and we're in her magazine. We're going to be in her magazine again. I think it's issue 10, issue 8. So that's what she's talking about us. And she's going to put a whole thing about her interview, like 2 or 3 pages worth. So you guys want to check that out down the line. We're going to be in that magazine. There's a lot of stuff coming up, guys. Like, we have a lot of good news for you guys. And it's coming all this way. I give it the next couple years, you're going to see a lot of stuff going on with Staring into the Abyss. We'll just put it that way, with James, me, and everybody in the groups. So that being said, everybody has a good night. It's almost Christmas next week, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Misfits, Sugar Ladies, Monster Hunters, and Demon Lovers, I love you, and good night, and blessed be. Have a good night.
The YouTube channel is youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. That's where everything is. All the episodes of Staring, all the episodes of Tales, and the Paranormal News, as Old Boy said, it's all there, 100% free. Thank you guys for hanging out with us again this week. I hope that you enjoyed the show, and we will catch you on the next one. Until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.